Hello. All right, I've got a profound one for you. And if you can understand, I'll tell it in a bit of a story to how I experienced it. If you can understand the profundity of this, the significance of this, the meaning of this, then you and I are connected beyond the physical. That's the only way I can put it. And if this to you is just like ideological, just like theoretical bumblings, then we are here to do different things. Like, it's not, it's just everybody's here to do their thing. But if you can understand this message, you're there. Let me put it like that. You are there. You are in the precise now. You are in the truth. You are one of the beings that is here to push the collective mind further, to raise consciousness. Okay, let's begin. So, yesterday, I'm doing yoga, and I'm going to cut any context about what's happening in my life because this experience, while the context assists in the significance for me, I believe it stands on its own. I was doing yoga, yin yoga specifically. I really like yin yoga because of the meditative, kind of otherworldly spiritual nature of it and the states that you can achieve while doing yoga, well, yin yoga. If you don't know, with yin yoga, it is much more relaxed, slow. The idea is to hold, like, relax as much as possible in a pose. And to release. And it's very fascinating because every time I hit the mat and do yin yoga, it's different. There are trends, but it's different. It's like sometimes I'm crying. Sometimes a totally random, I'll be in pigeon pose, a totally random memory will come to mind. Something I didn't process. And then there I am processing it on the mat. And all you have to do is be there in the body and feel it. The real magic, though, happens when you can kind of get past whatever stories are, caked into the joints, and you can achieve that state of just peace. It's something I cannot intellectually explain to you. It must be experienced. It must be felt to be understood. When you achieve this state, again, there's just a kind of separation between you as your person, me as Isabella, and there's a peace, right? So, there's more I could say on that, but let's move on. I'm in that state, right, where I'm kind of nearing the end of a very, very good session. I feel lighter, I feel relaxed, I feel centered, I feel grounded, and I don't remember what pose I'm in. I might have been in deer pose. I've been loving that lately, that pose. And I'm not really experiencing it as like my mind, but it just felt like I experienced it as mind started showing me something. It doesn't feel like it's so much mind, but it felt like mind. If that makes sense to you, then it makes sense to you. And when this happens, it's honestly not often that a movie plays for me in my waking life. It happens always either in meditation or in yoga. Like, you have to get to a very deep place. It doesn't, it's not going to happen to me while I'm at work and I'll just be like that's more like my conscious creating and my own like playful daydreams. But this is very like a very centered thing where it's like mind, and I'm not a part of creating the visual. When you live this life, when you're on this journey, you know the difference between when you're creating the visual and the daydream in the mind and when you are being shown something. There's just no other way to put it. So, what I saw, I'm sitting, and it's kind of in a dimly lit living room, kitchen. Like, it seemed like it was blurry. It wasn't too defined on the outskirts. Like kitchen might have been over here, living might have been over here, but it was just like this. And I'm sitting at a table, and it's like pretty much doors that are see-through, like window doors in front of me into like a backyard. And but they're also kind of not doors and not windows. You know how it's just a visual, right? And I'm sitting here, and fear. It was like I kind of remember experiencing fear in my body. And as soon as my reaction to it was so, hey, fear. Oh, hey. And I haven't had that kind of a loving, accepting, embracing reaction to fear lately. So the yoga got me to this place. And however I got there, I was simply there. And I felt like very, hello, fear. And then I'm seeing this visual where I'm here, there's a table, and right here sits fear. And fear is kind of this blurry amalgamation of red and flamey looking, not scary, but just a being. Not too defined, but there. And yeah, we chat kind of calmly. I say, "Hey, fear, how's it going?" And we kind of have this. It's weird. It's like I'm here, but I don't really feel that. Again, I feel like I'm watching it because it's like I'm being shown it. I don't really feel. I don't know how to explain that. That it does not feel like I'm in control of what's happening. It's like you're watching it, but you're also at a certain point, I became aware that I was the one sitting here. Like, I don't know that I was aware of that at first, if that makes sense. Anyways, we touch. I think we like do some sort of touch. And when I say I'm sitting here, like it's not me. It's just whatever is speaking to fear is sitting here, and I feel as though that's what I'm occupying. There was no concept of Isabella or like this person like that. It just didn't exist. It's just I'm in this blissed out state. I don't remember this. It's just not there. Fear sits down, and fear kind of has a solemn energy about itself, like a kind of both an acceptance and a bit of fear to it, but it seems a bit deflated. So the table kind of becomes a fire pit, and fear. We're just chatting calmly, and it's just kind of like old friends. And I don't remember exactly what's being said, but it's just like, yeah, like this is what we do. We exchange, and it's nice for us to be able to chat like this. And at a certain point, fear's like, oh, like let me light us a fire because I'm, whatever. Fear has the capability, I guess, and it looked like a flame, a fire in a way. So fear, the table just becomes a fire pit, and fear lights the fire, and suddenly we are still in the same place but outside, and the being that is me, which again, like I feel like I explained it poorly because it didn't really feel like me until kind of a certain not it never felt like me Isabella, but wasn't really aware of a me and an other. It was just kind of like whatever. I hope it's coming across. So the being over here pulls out marshmallows, and they're roasting them, and it's like there was a feeling that I experienced as like, oh, like I want to cheer fear up a bit. Like fear is down, and I want to like so fear made this fire for us, and now I'll give to fear, and I will ciao. And I will like we can roast marshmallows, and that's a nice thing, right? So yeah, we roast them gleefully. And there's a point at which I don't know that it was a thought, but it was just an awareness of, well, if that's what fear looks like, what do I look like? Because I'm seeing it like a scene, but I'm kind of seeing it from this vantage point where there's the table and there's fear, and I'm experiencing like as if I'm interacting with fear, but like I don't know what. Right. So then I simply switch vantage points, and I am fear. And I see what's over there. What was prior to that? Like what was like what offered the marshmallow? And I'm sitting over and I see, and it's from fear's perspective, it's like the way it visually looked was kind of like something very like almost like the if you could see the breeze, like it was swervy. You know, this is very like think of something that someone would draw. It doesn't. It's nothing like, you know, um, white and light blue, kind of swirly, making up almost similar, somewhat shape to a human, but the head isn't really totally visible or the same. And again, like I'm not my analytical mind when I'm experiencing this. Like I'm my analytical mind now trying to explain it to you and remember and give you details, but I was not that in this experience. So I see the being and it's like that movement, but then it also almost has like a white chalk outline that kind of puts it into a shape. And it just seems to be like very eminent of light, like very glowy. And at a certain point, you know, I see it and I experience it, and then I'm over here, whatever, and it's like over here, and I'm starting to kind of a little bit come back to myself because Isabella is aware. Like there's a certain point at which I was like, oh, it's that really cool thing is happening where I'm being shown like a movie and I'm not controlling it. Like even though, like I said, like it felt like I was in the one seat, it's like I'm watching something. So there was like that awareness, which was kind of coming back online once I saw like what the light being looked like. I was kind of like there's a small part of me back somewhere being like, oh, I want to remember this. I'm gonna want to remember this, and like then I hear, and I don't even know exactly how I landed on it, but because I come back over here, right, and then I'm looking at fear again, and then I'm looking at the whole thing, and it's just they're roasting marshmallows, and I just the line, the thought, more cognizantly. I hear, oh, I stepped into fear to see what I looked like. I stepped into fear to see what I looked like. Because here I am experiencing, and I see fear. But I just remember having this specific moment of like, but what do I look like? Like I see fear, what do I look like? And it immediately, I mean, as soon as I had that thought, I had to go write it down. It struck me immediately of like the larger sense of what's being said. We step into fear to see what we look like because you cannot see what you are from your own vantage point. You have to see it from another vantage point. That's why we're doing this. That's why we are playing the human game. To see ourselves. Oh my goodness, Amaran! It just... Is it as profound to you as it is to me? That's where I land. I'd love to know. Please sound off in the comments. Is anybody out there? Is anybody listening to this shit? Sound off. I mean, it's just... I don't know. Let me put it like this. I don't live a single second that's boring. This shit is so active. I'm so fucking alive. I can feel it at every fingertip, at every toe tip, at the end of every hair. And that is the gift that comes with seeing the truth. I don't know how to explain it to the average mind. Are they there? I don't know, and that's not the point. I can't go down that rabbit hole because then I start to feel like, I don't know. I'm going to assume that those that view it, that it finds the people it's meant to find. That whoever can see in this now moment what I can so clearly see, find this and feel comfort by this in knowing that they are not the only one. Like, the truth of what we are is so far beyond beyond anything I could comprehend, because we can only see ourselves in fragments, but beyond what the average mind seems to be capable, or seems to want to, like, the energy expended to comprehend something like this. Like, I understand you have to be tapped into source because you need to be able to access endless energy, because the average person is not, like, connected, and then does not, like, they're siphoning off their own access to source energy by their limiting beliefs. So they do not then have the expenditure to delve like this into the meaning of what we are and what we're doing here. I get frustrated. I just want to be like, wake up, Amaron! I gotta shake people. I have to let it go. Let's go back to the point here. I stepped into fear only to see what I looked like. Any origin story allegory that you want to use to understand what we are, you can use. You can apply Adam and Eve very clearly. We wanted to see we became aware that we were a self. We could be a self that is seen. So we wanted to be both seer and seen, observer and observed, subject and object. We wanted to be able to experience that rather than being everything. Because again, I'm sitting in my chair and there's just a moment of like, well, what am I? If that's fear, what am I? And well, I'll just become fear so I can so clearly see myself. And we're here and we're questioning, especially as when you're on this journey and you start to achieve these enlightened states and more elongated states of joy and bliss. Then when you experience fear, it can be jarring, because you think, wait a minute, I did this. I already did this. I've delved into this shit. That's why I get to be up here now, because I so bravely and ferociously face the dark shit that the rest of most people don't want to face. You think that I've done it. I can't be that again. But no, it's like you want to welcome fear and accept fear, because fear allows you to see what you are. And I mean, this has so many implications, dude. For the truth of what we are is the thing. It's like, okay, yes, fear exists, doubt exists, illusion exists, and it is of us. We are of it. Like, there is no separation. However, there is a truth. And it is so clear and so good that it transcends everything else. It even transcends the polarity, the binary. What we are is of a good nature, and it feels ridiculous and challenging for me to even use the word good, because I understand in the scope of all that is, good and bad are one and the same. Not, we individually, of course, experience them. They're different poles, but they're the poles of the same thing. And we understand, like, there's this neutrality to what we are. Katie just texted me that we have angels on our side. If that isn't so perfect for this conversation. But what we are, it's undeniably, because it's love. I want to say undeniably good, but it's love. And love encompasses evil. It simply does. Love encompasses everything, but I don't know. I get a bit lost here, but I have to go back to this because it feels like this explains it to me in a way that is beyond my logical, my capabilities to articulate. I stepped into fear only to see what I looked like. I stepped into fear only to see what I looked like. Is that not precisely what we're doing here? We stepped into the 3D world, the physical world, the hell. So as to experience contrast, which would then better show us what we are. Maybe I will have more things to say in the future. I feel strangely like I didn't get the message across and like I got too sidetracked getting obsessed. My little ego got a little worked up about, oh, other people don't know and here I am, and it's not about that. It can be frustrating like when you can see all of this and then but it falls on deaf ears. It's like sometimes I'm speaking into the fucking void. I mean, I've been putting shit online. I guess it's not that long now, but like coming up on a year of like me talking about this stuff online. And that's coming off of like for 2 years me being afraid to talk about this stuff. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I can feel it. I don't quite have an answer, and everything kind of has its place, and everything falls into place, and I don't know. One day it will maybe make a little bit more sense to me. Maybe. I don't know, maybe it won't, but I became fear only so I could see myself. And I was writing about it today at work. I wrote, the nature of what we are so lovingly reveals itself to he who is unafraid, to he who accepts and allows what is. That's it. All right, thanks for listening.